We're taxed enough already.
I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. When I can't, I heat my house with wood. When I can't afford something, I make changes, okay? And we need to make changes. So if the park's not open 7 days a week, or you have to charge that, you're going to have to do it. If you got to do something else different, but not and tax the services, such as the MTA tax that came through the town, you know, I was dumbfounded. I called them up. The people that ride the train, only 40% of the income is consumed by the riders. So if they want to ride that train, let them pay 90%. Why do I got to pay a percentage of that? How is that benefiting me? Why? Because people can go back and forth to the city? I mean, they don't say, oh, you know, Lou, you can set up your corn stand right in front of the train and you can benefit from people coming past you. They don't say that. So the thing is this. If particular types of services, and I don't know all the services, and I'm not going to say the highway department shouldn't have this and that department shouldn't have that. I don't know them because I'm not educated on them, therefore I can't comment about them. What I'm saying is we need to just stop doing things. If people, you know, if people didn't go out their old garbage or whatever, I don't even understand it. But all I know is other services, other than safety aspects, plowing the roads, the lights on and heat's on, you know, I'm simple like that. I'm sorry, okay? But I'm not very complex. I'm not a complex man. All I know is that whatever money is there, if we can't do without a library, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you know, the town can't afford it. Not everybody uses, 100% of people do not use the library. 100% of people don't use the parks and recreation. 100% of people don't use this. But you want to know something? Everybody drives on those roads. Everybody has a house with the fire department. Everybody needs the police department. We need electric in here. So there's certain items that you know that cannot get cut. Those items, obviously, you put all those items on one side of the table, and then you go, okay, well, it'd be nice to have garbage 2 days a week. It would be nice to have a library. It would be nice to have this. Oh, well, you know, we'd like to have a sign ordinance to hire another zoning officer so he can enforce this. We can make money. But if we're really making money, we're spending more money to hire a guy to enforce this. And now we're going to drive around and fuel and all these other issues, skating around the issue. And I don't mean to single out the zoning thing, but I'm just saying, you know, you take all those items, you put them on the table and say, what do we really need out of these items? You can't say, oh, well, the electric increase, gas increase, because then I could say, well, you know, the amount of money I spent for my diesel fuel this year for my tractors to give you guys corn and tomatoes and all these other things, because people are complaining at $2 a pound for tomatoes. I mean, I don't understand. That's how business works. And I can't just go to my customers and say, well, my diesel fuel price has increased. Let me take more money from you, because they're going to go to somebody else and buy their corn. So I understand what you're saying, that, you know, all these increases, and I understand that the unions and all have a control, and I understand that the state has these mandates. So those things you got to throw on the other table where we can't touch. But it'd be nice to have these other things, but we can't have them. You know, it's nice to have a beautiful car, or it's nice to have that, or let's go get a new car. But that's what I'm trying. That's the message that I'm trying to convey. All right. Do you understand? And I apologize.
Yes, sir.
And you guys have a difficult job, a difficult task, and I didn't know that the state has these mandates that we can't vote on it. But, you know, that really makes sense, and this state does not make sense to do business in. But you guys really need to think on just sitting there shoving the budget down people's throats, because that's what I feel like is happening, even though you may not, okay? I count my pennies, and I don't know anybody up there. Maybe the gentleman on the end, I played ice hockey one time. But other than that, I don't know anybody else up there, so it doesn't really bother me. But I'm just saying, you guys need to really think about this before you vote on this. Maybe it needs to go to another meeting or whatever. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can I speak? My name is Jay Ryan. I live on Milltown Road. And I was a little late getting in, so I didn't know I don't know the specifics of the budget. I read in the newspaper it was estimated to be 7.5.
It's about 10%.
And now I hear it's 10%.
It's under 10%.
I have a suggestion that might be something of a radical suggestion. I hear my fellow citizens and taxpayers and their concern. They share my concern about a 10% increase in our budget. That's on top of a 4.5% increase in the school taxes. That's on top of the MTA tax that we're all paying. Although I'm a beneficiary of that, I must, full disclosure, I'm a commuter. I just got here off the train. Here's my suggestion. Since there is such a wide range between the two budgets that have been proposed, a 0% increase and a 10% increase, so all kinds of suggestions as to what's motivating both sides of this issue to present these budgets. Why don't you agree to go back to the drawing board? Go back and sit down, with a sense of reconciliation, see if you can't come up with a consensus budget that you can present to the taxpayers. We would all be delighted to look at a budget that has been prepared by unanimous vote, or by 4 out of 5. But it seems to me with such a wide variation in the two budgets and an $8 million budget here, there has to be some middle ground beyond a 0% tax increase and a 10% tax increase. New York State, I don't know if there's any mandatory time for you to prepare your budgets, but that never bothers the people in the Assembly or the Senate about getting a budget in on time. And I don't see the urgency of voting on this budget tonight, 3-2, particularly because we can all see how the lines are drawn. And we're not sure that the lines are drawn in our best interest. So my recommendation... My recommendation to you 1 through 5 is go back to the drawing board and see if there isn't some compromise that can be made and that will satisfy some of the concerns on both sides of this budget issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I agree we should defer tonight, continue to work. We have a few more days under the state calendar. It just happened that our meeting is Thursday this week. We have till the end of the week. And if we run a little past, like you say, they do it in Albany every year. Yes, June?
I'm waiting for the next item to be put up, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to correct
Thank
one. Mr. Ryan, Michael Wright's budget was 2.25% according to our CPA. It was not 0.
That's why I'm uncomfortable with him. He's, in my opinion, and I don't mean to defame anyone, he's been working to assist and fuel the gravy train for years. That's why I'm uncomfortable with him. And if someone who calls a dollar-for-dollar property tax freeze a 2% increase, which he did, that just goes to show you.
No,
We don't
it's
need it.
figures. It's just figures.
It's dollar for
And the
dollar.
figures showed what the CPA said. It was the supervisor's figures. And just so that everyone knows, we need to and we must, by law, adopt a budget this evening. If we don't adopt this budget this evening, the budget that would need to be adopted would be the budget that was presented at last week's meeting. So one way or the other, we have to adopt the budget this evening.
That's not true, Liz. We have until November 20 by state law. Tonight's the 18th.
No.
We could defer for 2 days and have a special meeting over the weekend.
The 20th is the deadline, but we don't have another meeting. This is the meeting.
That's what I just said, make a meeting.
We don't have enough time to legally post the meeting.
Once again, anyone who is here, and I'm going to reemphasize that the budget that's being presented this evening has the library in it. I understand the individual that was just at the microphone before Mr. Ryan. The library is here, the museum is here, the tax assessor's office, the tax receiver's office. There is simply no way that those items are going to be eliminated. And it's important for you all to know that, once again, I heard quite a bit from a lot of people who wanted the library monies reinstated. They were young people, they were senior citizens, there were a lot of people, and as well as for the museum. So right now, the only way that I can see that this budget is going to be reduced at all is to once again eliminate completely the library, as was suggested in the supervisor's budget, eliminate completely the museum. I don't know if anyone is here that supports the library or the museum, but you need to know that that's what would happen. As far as the assessor's office, as has been previously
would
said,
happen. The
we
preliminary
cannot,
budget provided for
we
it.
can, no, the preliminary, it did not, the preliminary budget that was submitted by the supervisor provided a 0%.
I submitted a tentative budget.
I urge you all to look at the budget. You have to look at this before you just simply see
They
a
put more
blank
money in the budget.
9% increase. You need to see the fact that there were people who are very interested, young, old, and otherwise, in having a library and having a museum. And the tax assessor's office could not be replaced this year, period. The tax receiver's office could not be replaced this year. These are all items that were irreplaceable. So it's important that you know that, and 2 days isn't going to make a difference in any budget.
First of all, if we pull the plug on the tax receiver's office, as noted, by law, the county has to step up to the plate, receive taxes. But more importantly, you just said the tax assessor's office cannot be done without. In the difference between the preliminary budget, which is the second draft, which was produced by Councilwoman Hudak, Councilman Gross, Councilman Cullen, and the budget that is being voted on tonight is in excess of $35,000. There's, Bob attributed it to a 4% union raise, contract increase. She's not making that much money. There is fat, there's purposeful fat, and that's just what we're dealing with tonight and what we're dealing with as a community. And I regret it, and I'm opposed to it. June, do you want to speak to the budget?
I wanted to speak about the recreation office and that part of the,
Okay, that's the next item.
that's right.
We're not there yet.
Youth service?
That's why I said to you, I was going to wait until that was put forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Abe? Yes.
Hey, Markowitz, I'd like to speak about the budget, but not so much expenditures. Try to come up with some creative ways of enhancing revenue or reducing costs. Mr. Gross, Councilman Gross, this would be addressed to you as an educator. We have a museum. We have a library. Would be confident that the school district that we all pay taxes to also has a library. And schools teach history. That's what museums are about. Is there some way we could reach out to the school district to help support those operations?
Actually, the Brewster School District contributes money to the Brewster Library, too. They get their funding from various sources, including Putnam County. Putnam County also contributes. We do not fully fund the library. They get money from other sources.
But it's $180,000 in this budget, Abe, that we're going to vote on, that will be voted on tonight.
And just so you know,
Apparently.
the town of Southeast contributes less to the Brewster Library than any other community in Putnam County does. And, so we do give the least amount of money than any other community does to their library.
Well, I'm not looking for the total budget of the library or the museum to be cut. I'm just looking, is there an alternate source? And I thought maybe the school district could provide personnel or volunteers. There are students there that probably could get volunteer, and they'll apply to college. That always looks good for community service. So both the museum and the library, just an idea, might be somewhat more supported by the students of the Brewster School District.
Could I comment on that? Seniors this year, for the first time, their last 6 weeks of their senior year, will have to do an internship, a volunteer type of internship, but also to shadow a professional or some other vocation and then report back to their mentor. So the library would be on target to be a project where students could be there and learn the library. And I think they're already talking about that because they are down, $16,000 from their initial request. Could I just add, in 5 years, the library funding has not increased at all. It's been stagnant for 5 years.
Are regular citizens permitted to use the schools' libraries?
No, we have security issues on that. It's not. It doesn't work.
You're not going to let adults. You're not going to let adults in a school to go to a library. I mean, that's a dangerous situation.
After hours, I'm not talking 9
Then you
to
got to pay
3 and 9
overtime
to
for
4.
janitors, and you're taking from one to the other.
All right. I moved up here in 1994. I was responsible for MTA audits. One thing I noticed was the inadequacy of parking. We did an audit on parking, and what I noticed is many of the other communities, Croton Harmon, for instance, charges